Previously on PSI May.
And that's why I believe the DNA evidence had been tampered with.
And that's when I tampered with the DNA evidence.
The DNA evidence was gone.
Did you find the DNA evidence?
I'll have that DNA evidence on your desk by 5. DNA evidence.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Pixel.
You may be seated. This trial is to determine the parental status of one Miss Luster Dawn, first and last appearance in Season 9, Episode 26, The Last Problem. So, who the fuck is this girl's parents? The final episode of My Little Pony has gone down in infamy of wrapping the series up in a nice little bow. An emotional send-off for a series whose legacy would have not have been possible if not for this bizarre and unique community. This episode is split into 2 parts, because it's actually a story being told by the future version of Twilight Sparkle after her coronation. These future segments provide a lot of closure for many fan-favorite characters, as well as provide a lot of fan service. Particularly, many characters settled down and started a family or relationship, and with a family comes kids. Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich came together to make Little Cheese, and Big Mac and Sugar Belle came together to create their own child. With this possibility on the table, many fans began speculating about the origins of Luster Dawn. Luster Dawn is a character introduced in the Season 9 finale as a student of Twilight Sparkle, and who is someone, much like Twilight in her youth, didn't understand the importance of friendship. But a lot of fans began to question who exactly is she to Twilight? Why is she so important to her? What made Twilight choose her as a student? So a lot of people began to infer that she is perhaps related to a character we already know. And that was the design mentality when creating Luster Dawn, as when creating her, Josh Haber and Jim Miller couldn't agree if she should be related to Starlight Glimmer or Sunburst, leaving the interpretation up to the fans. And that's what I'm here to answer today. Who exactly are Luster Dawn's parents? Obviously, we already have 2 candidates, Starlight Glimmer and Sunburst, so why not just say those 2 and put it to rest? Well, it's because the staff didn't even consider the idea that these 2 might even be a couple. They saw their roles as potential parents entirely individually. So whilst it's a possibility, it is not the only possibility. The only thing that we know for sure is at least one of them is Luster Dawn's parent. We're really blending headcanon and evidence here, so don't take any statements I make here to be absolutely gospel. This is just my own interpretation. Our potential candidates need to be both a pony as well as not in an already committed relationship. So whilst Thorax may be friends with Starlight, he's a changeling and thusly can't be considered as a potential candidate. With that being said, here are the possible parents that potentially owe child support. I'm going to be going through this from least likely to most likely, and then determining if their adjacent partner is either Starlight Glimmer or Sunburst. Bring up the first case file. Derpy just barely qualifies this list on a technicality. During the development of Season 7, Derpy was considered to be amongst Starlight Glimmer's friend group, but there's not really any significant moment in the series where they interact. Other than scrapped ideas, this really has as much value as me choosing any other random character, so Derpy is off the hook. However, somebody who would need a little bit more scrutiny is case number 2, Sunset Shimmer. Though primarily in the Equestria Girl series, Sunset Shimmer did actually end up meeting Starlight Glimmer. Why did they give these 2 nearly identical names? Anyway, the 2 actually hit it off extremely well. I was worried for a while that their personalities wouldn't work well together given how similar they are, but they surprisingly have a pretty strong dynamic. So it's not a stretch of the imagination to think of her as a possibility. Sunset Shimmer also complements Luster Dawn very well, with their names being inverses of one another, Sunset Shimmer and Luster Dawn, but this is only circumstantial at best. Similar naming conventions doesn't change the fact that it seems that Sunset Shimmer plans to stay in the human world forever, so I doubt that Sunset Shimmer would come back to have this child with whoever and then just leave again. I think a more likely parent for Luster Dawn is somebody who has permanent residence in Equestria. such as in case number 3, Maud Pie. Maud Pie is a more reoccurring member of the Glimmer gang, and has actually interacted with both Starlight Glimmer and Sunburst, which gives her additional points. And you can imagine with a very deadpan personality like hers, you can see where Luster Dawn could have potentially got her moral objectivism. Obviously, the big issue in this conversation is her relationship to Mudbriar. Though we don't have confirmation on their relationship status at the end of the series, I doubt they would have them go through a breakup off screen. That leaves us with our final and one of our more likely candidates, case number 4, Trixie Lulamoon. Trixie has a very close relationship to Sunburst and especially Starlight Glimmer. It's come to the point where even official show staff like Katrina Hadley are pretty hardcore Starlight and Trixie shippers, with many fans reading their relationship as implicitly romantic. Their whole shtick is kind of acting like an old married couple, and even in the Best Gift Ever special, the two are shown to sometimes sleep in the same wagon. A real Bert and Ernie situation over here. But just because two characters are potentially dating, it doesn't mean that they are going to become parents. So to get past this roadblock, we should look at Luster Dawn's design details and determine if she has any similarities between any of these three. And if you look at her for more than 3 seconds, it is such a clear sweep that she takes much of her design elements from Sunburst. They have a similar scraggly, unkept hairstyle with an orangey two-toned color. They are also both antisocial, a personality trait that Luster Dawn could have adopted from her father. But the closest thing to a smoking gun is their cutie marks, a dark orange sun with yellow and white light beams. I am more than convinced that Sunburst is the biological father of Luster Dawn. But with that being said, who is the mom? It can't be Trixie, because despite the fact that they are friends, it's more or less through the mutual connection of Starlight. And I doubt it's Starlight either, because once again, Josh Haber and Jim Miller didn't really seem to consider the idea of Starlight and Sunburst being a couple. But since they did say it was up to interpretation, why not give my own? Let this be off the record, jury, do not take this into account. So, what if it's all three of them? Wait, I'm not implying this is a polyamorous relationship, even though that would be based. I'm saying, what if Sunburst is a surrogate? A surrogate typically steps in to provide a biological component to reproduction that one of the parents do not have. Starlight and Trixie are both women and can't have a child on their own, even if you consider the theory that Trixie is transgender. Years of hormones have probably made her sterile. Surrogates or donors can be anonymous, but sometimes one may ask somebody they are familiar with if they would want to participate. Starlight is likely the other biological parent due to Luster Dawn and Starlight sharing a similar coat color, and because Starlight is closest to Sunburst. It also can't be Trixie because, you know. But this is my own personal headcanon, and as the judge, I cannot determine the verdict. That is a responsibility for our jury. That's right, it is up to you to determine. Who are Luster Dawn's parents? Are they any of the suspects we talked about here today? Or was there somebody that we missed? Or maybe her parents don't matter at all, and Luster Dawn's significance is more than just nepotism. Just please do not turn this into a shipping debate. Please leave your verdict in the comments below. I would love to read them. But for now, this court is adjourned. A special thank you to our guest bailiff, CXCD. Make sure to drop by and subscribe to his channel. And before you go, may I recommend you check out the My Little Pony Chronicles project. The links to our social media pages will be in the description below. But for now, that is all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I've been May, and I'll see you next time.
Yo! I'm sorry for the horrific furnace noise, but unfortunately it's either I turn it off and freeze to death or you deal with the audio. I'd rather you deal with the audio. Fuck you! And your kangaroo wife! Alright, let's do this.